Remember KTM motocross bikes back in 2004? They were looked at as different from the big four Japanese brands, and not in a good way. They were, and still are, considered different. But the tables have turned in the last 15 years. Back in 2004, they handled like a wheelbarrow and weren't reliable. What got these bikes through the hard years was their uniqueness. They had a cult following in off-road and were the only bikes that offered electric starting and hydraulic clutch. Although neither worked very well back then. The clutch would always go out and the battery would die. What was generally good about the unique breed from Austria were their fast two-stroke engines. We all remember what happened to Jeremy McGrath when he went to KTM in 2002. It was a nightmare. The bike literally forced the king of Supercross into early retirement. KTM couldn't catch a break as they tried to break into American motocross. That was until Grant Langston won the 125cc National Championship in 2003. KTM had their best luck in the 125 class as the engine was blazing fast and the bike was light enough that the riders didn't mind the ill handling of the titler. But there was one kid that set the KTM world on fire in its early motocross days. That kid was Zach Osborne. Zach was KTM's prodigy kid. The family bled orange. With the KTM 85SX coming out in 1998, Zach jumped on board the bike a year later in 1999. With Zach's speed and results, KTM wanted input to improve the bike. Zach became KTM's marketing plan as his results attracted many dads to the orange bike for their kids to race. When it came time for Zach to jump up to the 85 class, there was no KTM 85SX for him to race. KTM wanted a long-term relationship with Zach, so they proposed a plan. Zach would ride Suzuki's while he would help develop the first KTM 85SX. Zach dominated on the KTM 85 from 2003 to 2005 until he moved up to the 125cc class. With our go-to project builder, Jay Clark, finding a 2004 KTM 85 in pieces, it brought back memories of Zach's checkered past on the KTM mini bikes. So when he asked if we wanted him to build it for us, we hesitated. Nothing good came out of those year KTMs other than Zach Osborne. But we didn't know for sure if it was Zach that made the KTM 85 look good on the track or if the bike had potential. We told Jay to build us a better than new 2004 KTM 85SX. Our goal in this build wasn't to make a fire-breathing dragon. We just wanted to get the bike running as it did 16 years ago, which took a lot of TLC and a complete engine rebuild. The KTM 85 cylinder was fried and the engine was worn out. Jay went ahead and sent the cylinder out to Millennium Technologies and ordered a full wrench rabbit kit to get the engine back in shape. This kit is handy as it offers all the parts you need for a bottom and top end rebuild, all under one part number. All the bearings were rusted and the seals were dried out. Jay swapped out the old parts with new pivot works bearings and seals. We replaced the freight cables with all balls bearings cables. This was the extent of rebuilding the engine, save for bolting on an FMF pipe and silencer, and using a new V-Force recage. As for the jetting specs, we looked at the Pro Circuit website to get us in the ballpark. They give you the stock jetting along with what jetting Pro Circuit recommends. It has saved us a lot of time in the past, which is what we use for a KTM 85SX. With old suspension components worn out, we have had great luck with Race Tech rebuilding them. In total, we spent around $2,500 to $3,000 to rebuild this hunk of junk. So how did it run on the track? To be honest, our testers were skeptical about the dated KTM mini bike. We have all heard the horror stories from the MXA elders about the teething phases of the older KTMs. After our first test rider came back with a smile on his face, testers big and small lined up to ride the bike. The bike was nothing but fun. The power was strong and surprisingly broad. The suspension was ultra-plush and the controversial PDS rear shock worked great. This was a bike that was generally underrated for its time. If you want to see the full written test of the restored 2004 KTM KTM 85SX. For the full written test of the restored 2004 KTM 85SX, check out motocrossactionmag.com. And as well on there, we have lots of two-stroke builds, restoration, and everything two-stroke, four-stroke you can imagine. So check it out. And make sure before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button.
Mm-hmm.